Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mythic Banter. This is episode 9 of our awesome podcast. Hopefully, you guys have been enjoying all of the other episodes, and you've been waiting for this very special moment to just smash that subscribe button with your face. And then hit the bell notification icon and hit the like button and do all of those things so that we can keep bringing you guys the best podcast on YouTube. Well, yes.
Yeah,
I was thinking that I'm sabotaging my other podcast. It's like throwing myself under the bus. Yes, this is the best.
This is the best one by far. I'm also throwing my podcast under the bus, but never mind that.
We're just burning our own podcasts.
Never mind that. Watch this one instead. But no, I'm glad to finally know that me and Rurikon are on the same page with the whole subscribe thing. Subscription, just hit the subscribe button. Rurikon will give all of you blowjobs if you do.
Whoa! I'm a married man, sir. You're the single one here, so you should be the one providing people with sloppy BJs if anybody's going to do it.
Oh, shit. Just called out on being single. Fuck me.
Actually, I don't even know if you're single, to be honest.
I am. There you go. I am single. But no, you can find us over on Spotify. You can find us over on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you find your podcasts, that is where we will be. Very quick disclaimer before we even start this episode. Not disclaimer, but a little bit of an update here for all of you. If you are looking forward to the episode next week, you are shit out of luck. We will be taking a small hiatus next week, and that is because Rurikon would rather go gallivanting in Germany than, be here.
Hey, if I look, I'm willing to sacrifice a lot of things for our podcast. Playing Monster Hunter Wilds is not one of those things. Sorry, bro. I'm going to go play Monster Hunter Wilds. It is what it is.
Yeah. He's going to Gamescom, just so that you guys know. Yeah. He's going to Gamescom. So next week, the week after next week, we'll have a full update on everything that happened at Gamescom, everything you saw, all of the behind-the-scenes scoops and everything.
I'm only going there to play Monster Hunter Wilds. I barely booked anything else.
You are now on a podcast. You have to now do everything. Everything. Stand in every line, talk to every single person. That's just how it is now. Listen, that's your job now.
Let me tell you something, okay? Yeah. When it comes to doing content, if you're standing in a line, you're not doing content. Like, I remember the first time I remember the first time I went to E3. Basically, there was a line there for Destiny. This was in 2013, before Destiny actually came out. There was a line there, and I remember looking at that line. It was a massive line, and then there was one of those signs that tells you how long it is to wait, and it said, from this point onwards, it's 6 hours of wait time. And it was a massive line. There was just like tons and tons of people just waiting to go see a fucking trailer, dude. It was a trailer. It was a trailer for Destiny 1. People were waiting 6 hours in line to see this trailer. And I was like, bro, I would never sit in a freaking queue for 6 hours.
Dude, there's
to go
people
watch
that
a trailer. You're crazy.
But bro, there's people that wait overnight in queues to buy a fucking Apple phone. Like, you could literally buy that phone.
That's a different thing.
At any given point in time. I wouldn't agree with that. How's that different?
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it either way. But
I don't believe that it's a different thing. Here's why. Let me explain. With the trailer, you're only ever going to be able to see that trailer for the first time, be among the first people to ever see that trailer first before anyone else, and also live with a bunch of other people, right? So it's like a moment that can never actually be recreated. If I buy my Apple phone 2 months after launch, I still have a fucking Apple phone. Like, it's not like I don't have the same Apple phone as you that stood in the queue for 24 hours. I have the exact same one. And guess what, motherfucker? I slept like a baby while you were waiting in line to get yours. Dude, I just walked into the store and got mine.
I remember a story that there was like this kid who stood in line to go do that. It was like first in line, and some lady went up to him and paid him like $800 or whatever it was so that she could get his spot. And her plan was that she was just going to buy a bunch of phones. So that's why it's like, oh, this is $800. This is going to be an investment, and I'm going to buy a bunch of them, and I'm going to sell them, right? That was the thing. And then it was like a one phone per customer policy. So she just gave that kid $800.
Oh, no.
For nothing. I was like,
me.
Suits you right, lady. You fucking scalper. You get what you deserve.
Dude, I genuinely I hate the whole process, man. I hate the whole thing of, because it is manufactured scarcity.
Like, listen, I'll tell you what. The one thing that I miss when it comes to that was midnight releases. Midnight video game releases, those were the shit. Because you'd be hanging out with people that are interested in the game. You'd be talking about the game. I miss those deeply. We don't have those anymore, at least not in Portugal, pretty much for anything. And I think throughout the world, most people don't because everything's digital. I just buy it on Steam and it gets... Yeah. I do miss that experience of just like being at the store, talking about that stuff. It was a good time.
But I feel like, man, how sad must your fucking life be if you are in the Apple culture? Gaming is a culture, right? Monster Hunter players are in their own little culture. They have their own language. They have their own vernacular that exists around. Apple is actually a fucking phone.
You know that actually there is a language called Monster Hunter language, and it's in the games, and you can actually change the voice of the games to be Monster Hunter language.
I would not be surprised, but that's the thing, right? Gaming is a culture thing because it is by its very nature a group activity. Yeah, even single player games has the group activity, especially with the online space where you go into chat rooms and you talk to other people about the game, and it just it births this culture in and of itself. A mobile phone is just a fucking mobile phone, right? Like it allowed, like, what is this one doing culturally that is so much better than any of the others? I have a Samsung phone, and the only reason I don't have an Apple phone is because Apple is scumbags.
Seems to me like you just have a bone to pick with Apple. Dude,
I hate Apple. I fucking... Dude, if Apple went bankrupt tomorrow, I would celebrate that shit.
Listen, I used to be on the other side of that. I used to be a big Apple fanboy. Like there's probably still videos of me like getting into online beefs with people, almost like the console wars. I never got into the console wars thing, but I definitely got into PC versus Mac all the time. And I was on the side of Mac, man. It is what it is. But the situation was,
as a gamer?
Yeah, as a gamer, because
dude,
listen,
way to fucking pick the wrong side.
No. But listen. When it comes to the usability of the operating system, like how both of us are constantly saying, "Man, Windows is a piece of shit. It fucking sucks." Like, listen, there was a point in time that there was a version of the Apple operating system, OS X, which was called Snow Leopard. And that, to me, was the best operating system ever made. And I know that there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come in and going to say, "What?" It's like, listen, bro, for me, it has never been any better. It was super fast, silky smooth. You didn't have to format it every 3 months because it would get bloated with all kinds of bullshit. The goddamn system was designed to take advantage of 1,020... 1 gigabyte of, not 1 gigabyte, 1 terabyte of RAM. The system was designed to take advantage of 1 terabyte of RAM. You understand? Like, this was a system that was built to last. It was perfect. It was amazing. And then Apple decided, like, hey, what if we made our operating system more like, using an iPad? And they made whatever came after Snow Leopard, and I was like, bro, never again. I dropped out of Apple pretty much almost instantly. I was like, bro, never again. You guys fucked up so bad. You guys had like one of the best operating systems ever made, and you fucked it up so badly that I never used it again. It instantly became more bloated. It was like slower, unresponsive. It was so bad, and the usability of it was terrible, all because they're like, oh, we're going to simplify things. We're so smart. It's like, no, you fucked it up. You destroyed Your operating system was disgusting.
Basically, like Windows have been doing with or Microsoft has been doing with Windows since basically Windows XP.
Yeah.
Which was
much.
arguably the base Windows. Then finally came Windows 10. Decent, nothing bad. I really didn't have anything bad to say about Windows 10. Windows 11 rolls round, and it is fucking shit again.
Like, listen.
And this time, the worst thing... Sorry,
Go ahead.
Dude, I'm so peeved by this. Windows, like Microsoft, I need you to understand something very, very fucking clearly. I don't want you to throttle my bullshit. Why do you have efficiency modes built into your fucking Windows? Dude, I feel so strongly about this, I'll burn shit down just to counteract their green bullshit. I am fucking sick and tired of it. Do you know that I had to install a separate third-party app so that I could force fucking Windows to not throttle my fucking programs?
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me.
Because it literally puts all programs that it deems not good enough in efficiency mode so that it uses less electricity. And then I find out that I can't remember if it was my OBS or something, but one of my like super important programs in efficiency mode slows it down like a motherfucker. Like you can't use it. That's how slow it is.
And this is one of those things that it's such a bullshit scam when people are telling you, oh, you should buy this green hard drive that's slower than your regular hard drive, or this green PSU that's not as powerful as a regular PSU. It's like, motherfucker, they're fucking these goddamn big oil companies are fucking pouring gallons of oil into the fucking ocean. And I'm the one that needs to like have a slower computer?
Yeah.
Get your head out of your ass, bro. Get the fuck out of here. Billionaires flying around in fucking private jets. And it's like, no. You need to buy like the green GPU. It's like, fuck you. Fuck your green GPU.
Yep.
Get the fuck out of here. Listen, I care about the environment, but it's not about like personal computers where the environment's going to be at a fucking tissy. Like our own personal carbon footprint is negligible compared to what the fuck like, you know, the industrial sector is doing and billionaires on jet planes and all this bullshit. Get the fuck out of here, bro. You get those billionaires out of their jet planes. You get those fucking big oils to actually start paying for the bullshit they're doing. And then you can tell me about my fucking carbon footprint, huh? How about that?
Yep.
What the fuck?
Dude, Bill Gates, the day Bill Gates stops using private airplanes to go around the world is the day that I will fucking consider switching to a green fucking anything. And I'm not saying I will, but I may consider it for like 2 seconds. Here's the thing. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Oh, your new GPU is only using 160 watts? Well, where's the other watts, motherfucker? Why are you not giving me all the watts?
There's only
I want all the watts.
Listen, there's only one reason why I would want you to kind of like throttle anything on my system, and that is to extend its lifespan so that it can pollute more for longer. No. Okay, that last part was maybe too much, but I'm just saying the only reason why I would want my stuff to run maybe a little bit slower at any given time is to extend its lifespan. No other reason. No.
You know what we should do, bro? What? All gamers should really do this. All tech enthusiasts should do this. Every single time they bring out a new device or piece of hardware that is green, you should add a tire to the fire outside and take a picture of it.
You mean like you mean like an NVIDIA GPU? Because those are green.
But you burn tires and you fucking show them, look at what I'm doing. You stop that shit or I keep doing this to counteract your bullshit.
That's a terrible idea. Don't do
Just
that.
Fight the good fight.
That's terrible.
No, fact of the matter is, it's just annoying that they decided to, it's the browser. They put the browser in efficiency mode. Have you ever tried to use a browser in efficiency mode?
No,
Say hello to 1995 fucking browsing when you try to open the first ever MySpace and it's taking like 20 minutes to load. It's not quite that bad, but it feels that bad because on all modern systems, I hit my browser, it opens up immediately. I click on YouTube, I'm immediately in YouTube. It was so wild, bro. I opened my YouTube and it's like fucking loading. I'm like, wait,
I haven't
is
had
my
that
internet
issue.
fucked?
I haven't had that issue with Windows 11, but I actually I decided to try out Edge on my new rig. I actually kind of like it because of the there's a lot of websites with the cookies and shit. I don't know if you deal with this because this is more of a European thing. We have like the whole GDPR thing. So we actually get to tell them, no, don't store cookies. Fuck you. And it's actually funny because there's a lot of websites where like if you open them on Firefox, right? They give you this big list of things that you have to go through if you want to actually tell them not to use your cookies. But if you open those websites on Edge, they have a different interface just for Edge where you can just go like reject all. And I've been like really surprised, like, well, why does Firefox not have why does this not happen with Firefox, but it happens with Edge? It's kind of weird.
I don't know. When last did you use Firefox? Because I use Opera, and it also just has the reject all.
Yeah, some websites do, not all of them. That's the thing. And the ones that don't on Edge, they either do or Edge automatically denies them, which is even more hilarious, but whatever.
See, I like Opera because it has built-in ad protections and ad blocks and shit, so I couldn't give two shits. I'm perfectly happy. Yeah. Anyways, enough of me and Rurikon complaining about the fucking billionaires in the environment. You guys are here, obviously, to your gaming news. Well, you're shit out of luck because we have drama first.
As per usual.
As per usual, that's right. One of these days, boys, we're going to have a full episode where we're literally going to start by saying, and today in the gaming news, you wouldn't believe what just happened. There's no drama, but no, there is. Everyone is sort of staggering their drama from what I can tell.
I mean, I think there's been a ton of more stuff about Mr. Beast, but nothing that, changes drastically from what we already spoke about last week. Still lots of allegations, lots of back and forth between a bunch of different people. So it doesn't feel like we need to rehash that until Mr. Beast himself says something, I feel like. And then we can look at it.
To be prudent, so that people don't think we're just letting off of Mr. Beast, there is the whole thing of his ex-girlfriend coming out and sort of, I guess you could say vaguely insinuating that there might be more stuff that he did and he may have been a very bad guy when she dated him. The truth is, guys, I read through her entire post, and as long as there's not another post that I'm just completely unaware of, the post that I saw could literally just have been that Mr. Beast is a workaholic and dating a guy whose literal personality is all about work can be very fucking tough. It is a very tough place to find yourself in, right? So that's at least from my perspective what I saw coming out of that. That being said, though, his current girlfriend came out and she said all of the rumors about him is completely untrue. I wouldn't be with him if he was anything like what you guys are describing. So, yeah.
I mean,
he says kind of fucking situation, right?
That's always going to be the case for your current partner. Like they're gonna say what it. I mean, it is what it is, right? If somebody comes out, calls me a scumbag, I would expect my wife to come in and say like, "No, he's not." It's like she's obviously biased. It is what it is.
How amazing would it be
if she says yes? He is.
But for the rest of us, when your wife comes out and says, "Yep."
Yep, he is a scumbag.
Big proof.
a bigger truth
standing there
has
with
never
Pikachu
been true.
Face.
And I was like,
you're just standing there, Pikachu face, like,
what?
What?
What did you say?
But, ladies and gentlemen, the real drama that we have this week, of course, is again one of those returning favorites of the channel.
Oh yes,
Dr. Disrespect.
The
two-time is coming back. He tweeted out a couple of days ago that holiday is just good right now, so he's going to take a little bit more of an extended break. There's a lot for them to discuss. That's literally what his tweet said. Naomi could probably put it up on the screen.
No, listen. He also said, yeah.
Yeah.
It's very Dr. Disrespect.
He also did that. And look, the tweet got something like 37,000 likes and only like 2,000 replies. So it's quite clear from that he's not being ratioed. His fans has completely rallied behind him. The real update here is that Dr. Disrespect has gone around deleting a lot of his old tweets, including the one where he says, I did the thing, right? With the thing and the other thing and the thing that got him banned. That is now deleted from the internet. It's not deleted from the internet, but his post is deleted.
Here's what he's banking on right now, okay? Listen, I've said this multiple times. TikTok has basically taken a hammer to people's heads and just completely destroyed their attention span. And therefore, there are going to be a lot of people that are so overwhelmed with information that the fact that he deleted his tweet, like, they're going to forget about it. Absolutely. Like, 2 weeks from now, they might not even remember, wait, what? Inappropriately messaging a minor? No, he didn't. No, that never happened. You guys, like a couple of weeks from now, there's going to be like one of those things where people are going to think that this was some kind of a Mandela effect or some other bullshit. And, because that's just the nature of online interactions. Things happen at such a rapid pace, and we're constantly being overwhelmed with things. So it wouldn't surprise me that, a lot of his fan base also being on the younger side, probably something that he appreciates. They're gonna forgive and forget and all of that stuff, and they're just gonna go back. Oh yeah, the Champions Club, let's go, we're the best, blah 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 blah. Yeah, but it's like, bro, it's so on brand, right? Because he's an arrogant prick, and it is what it is. But yeah.
Well, I feel like we'll see, right? So first and foremost, I think one of the things, and I hate to run defense here, but I feel like it would be prudent to at least provide the other side of the conversation. I think one of the reasons his fans has, as of yet, not rallied up against him is the information is so incredibly vague, right? He literally says in that post, there were some inappropriate interactions with a minor, right? That's it. So the question becomes, well, when you say minor, what do you mean with minor? What exactly is this minor? Is it a 17-year-old? Is it a 17-year-old a week before the 17-year-old turns 18?
I don't think that makes a difference.
Here's the thing. It does make a difference in terms of the level of outrage. So if you're inappropriately texting a 17-year-old, I sort of go, why? Like, why the fuck would you do this? What do you possibly have in common with this person? But if you're inappropriately texting a 13-year-old, I go, oh, fuck me, what the fuck? Right? So there is definitely a level difference in the outrage. And then also, and I just want to finish the point. The other thing is, what does inappropriate mean? Was it an inappropriate joke? Did you make a dick joke in front of a 17-year-old? Right? Or were you sending D-pics? Because those are two very different things, right? When you're saying inappropriate messages, what does that rise to? Right?
I think he confirmed that no pictures were sent. I think that's been confirmed, but there was still some inappropriate. Fundamentally, this is all going to be he said, she said. He admitted it, of course, because he said, yes, I have inappropriately messaged an individual minor, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, to me, at the end of the day, it's like, look, you got to release the fucking logs. It's just that simple. That's the only way that people are ever going to know where they stand. People, they need to know. They need to know. And the fact that these things still haven't been released by Twitch or himself, it means that these are very, very damning. The things that he said are very, very damning. YouTube has also demonetized him. He was dropped by his fucking studio. Which it's like, these are people at this point that know things that we definitely don't, because you don't just make the decision to drop him based on, the random stuff that's been said online. There are people that know what was said in these messages, but until we know what it is, it's just going to be hard for people to actually judge where they stand. To me, it's a lot easier because I just look at it this way. Look, even if you were inappropriately messaging somebody that wasn't a minor, you're still a fucking scumbag. You're a married man with kids. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are we talking about? You're a fucking scumbag, one way or another. The only difference is that either you're an absolute scumbag or you're an absolute scumbag that also likes to inappropriately message teenagers. It's like, it's fucking whatever, bro. You're still a fucking scumbag, no matter the way that this turns.
I should make it clear that I wasn't providing my defense for Dr. Disrespect. I was saying, from his fans' perspective, why have they stuck with him, right? So I just want to make that very clear. If you ask my own personal opinion, I don't think that there is any excuse. If you are in a relationship, married with children, you do not message anyone.
Yep.
It's just as fucking simple as that. You do not inappropriately message anyone, let alone people who are not yet of age. And that doesn't matter, right? Whether they're a week away from 18 or 5 years away from 18, you just don't do it. There's no place for that on the internet, in life, really. But fundamentally, I think that's why his fans are still sort of sticking around. Now, what I want to see is, what is his explanation going to be? You already know that he's coming back stream is probably going to be one of the largest streams you've ever seen on YouTube.
100%.
Because his fans are going to be there, and every hater is going to tune in wanting to hear his fucking side of the story. Which, if he really wants to be, like, just smooth cat, basically hoping that this whole thing had already blown over, he just ignores it, right? And just continues to stream as normal, doesn't say shit, tells people about his holiday and, you know, what him and his wife and his kids did, and just lives on pretending like nothing happened. One of two things happens in that scenario. Either people now go, what the hell? Why aren't you coming clean? And then he starts bleeding fans, or fans just move on. They're like, wow, who cares? We didn't care.
I think
we're not going to worry about this.
The biggest thing is going to be, how is he going to make money, though? Because he's not monetized on YouTube anymore. Does YouTube give him monetization back? How does that work? Because I think YouTube's not above just remonetizing him. I don't think they're above that, because they play favorites. We've spoken about this not even that long ago.
I'll say this. It all depends on what actually happened. There's a good chance that Dr. Disrespect reaches out to the people at YouTube and maybe shares the logs with them and goes, here's what happened. I don't think it's fair that you guys removed my monetization. And YouTube maybe looks at it and goes, oh yeah, never mind. This wasn't that bad. We'll give you back monetization. But there's also other ways to monetize. So, for example, he can literally start his own website and just stream, embed the stream on the website. People chat on the website and they pay on the website, and he gets 100% of the profits of the website, right?
I don't know how much those things pan out. I know that Destiny does his stuff that way, and apparently it works out great for him. Maybe that's what Dr. Disrespect is planning on doing, pulling like what do they call it? The DGG type of thing, and maybe that ends up being what happens. But yeah.
I think that's pretty much all he can do at this point, because I don't think, unless he can provide the logs that proves that he, and for those of you that think YouTube is doing this because they're moral, you're out of your mind. The only reason YouTube is demonetizing him is because they don't want to be involved in the drama. Yeah. Companies, it's the same reason why his studio kicked him off. They don't want to be part of the drama. They don't want to be dragged into the nonsense. So they're perfectly happy to distance themselves from him and just go, it's nothing to do with us. So that's why that happened. And I mean,
here's what people should understand. If YouTube actually cared about him inappropriately messaging minors, he would be banned. They're like, no. We want you here with all those thousands of eyeballs on your content. But we're going to have to slap you on the wrist a little bit, so we're just not going to give you money. So we save some money, and at the same time, you're still here. Because it's not like you can go to Twitch. Where the fuck are you going to go? Kick? Good luck?
Didn't they also ban him? I think Kick banned him as well.
Was he on Kick? I don't think he was on Kick. I think it was on
No, but
YouTube.
I think Kick banned him. I think Kick retroactively banned him or proactively banned him from the platform.
Bro,
if I'm not mistaken.
They have people doing way worse on Kick. What do you mean?
I mean,
he was like whispering. He was like whispering minors on Kick. There's people straight up, sexually talking to them on stream.
Yep.
What do you
Kick is just the Wild West at this point, bro, and the Wild West has gotten a lot wilder than what it used to be. But no, so that's where we are with the Dr. Disrespect stuff at the moment. Yeah. It's not. It will know, right? So when he finally does return, I think the story is going to take a massive twist. If I'm going to tell you guys what I would love to see, and I think if Dr. Disrespect really is a changed person, because that's one of the things he alluded to, is that he changed his life quite significantly. What he would do, and what I would do in this scenario, is I would be honest. I would come out, I would admit to everything, I would share everything, insofar as protecting the people I was talking to's identity. That might be one of the reasons that I've never even considered why the logs will not be leaked. It is to protect the identity of the person that he was talking to. Because man, they might not even be.
That is so hard to do, to just go in there and like, let me just blank this out. Oh,
well, it depends, right? It depends on the nature of the conversations, because there might have been, and the problem is also how many conversations, how long are those conversations? Because you have that, for example, in American law, technically all identifiable information should be removed, but in almost every single lawsuit, because there's just so much shit, you miss one or two things, right? You miss something that this person says that basically reveals to all of their friend and family who they are, because they know the person and they know that this is what this person would say. So I think that's maybe one of the reasons why they decided they don't want to reveal this information, but also a lot of just ass covering. Let's be real. I think that would be their reason for it. But what I would do is I would just come clean. I would say, look, this is exactly what happened. Here is why I changed my life. Here is how I changed my life. I ask forgiveness. If you guys can find it in your hearts to forgive me, please do. If you can't, I understand that. And, good luck to you. Thanks for supporting me for as long as you did. And then that's the end of it, right? At that point, people are going to make a decision. Do we forgive him or do we hold him to account? And what I think is, I think people have a lot of room for forgiving people if they're honest, if they take their sin, they put it out for the world to see, and they repent, right? They say, I'm sorry. I fucked up, what can I say? Because we're all human. We all make mistakes. That's just the nature of the game, right? Some mistakes are bigger than others. That's true. But no one can stand and say they have never made mistakes. They've never said anything. So I would like to see that. Are we going to see that? I fucking doubt it. I highly doubt that's what we'll see. He's probably going to just spin it in some way. The fact that he deleted his original coming out story suggests to me that he's gearing up to do the cover up of this century, right?
I don't know about the whole thing about redeeming himself and all of that stuff. I don't know. I don't know about all that. I need to see the logs. Need to see the logs, that's the only way.
I'm not suggesting he redeems himself. I'm saying he comes clean, admits to everything, shares his side of everything, and you can tell that he's not hiding anything, right? He is being super honest, super open. This is what I did, and I'm sorry about it. At that point, people have the ability to just accept, right? Or go away. It's their choice, but that would at least show that he is indeed a different person to the person that did the things originally, right?
100% never.
But yeah, like I said, what I would like to see and what will actually happen will not be the same thing. Yeah. So is what it is. Fundamentally, how do you guys feel about this whole Dr. Disrespect thing? I have a feeling that most of our viewers will be in the same camp as we are, insofar as this is fucked. This has always been fucked. This is weird. But I would like to hear from you guys as well. Do you think there is a redemption arc here somewhere, or do you think, nah, fam, There's no redemption to be found here. It's also the internet, right? So people don't really forgive and forget because there's no forgiving or forgetting on the internet. Anything else you want to say about this before we move on?
No. Not really. It's like there's not a lot to add.
I mean, we already spoke about the initial fallout, right? And I will be fucked if I'm going to go over that again. I have no interest in covering it again. It's already disturbing enough to have covered it the first time. I really don't want to bring it back up. So, yeah, those of you who haven't seen it, watch our earlier episode where we talk about this at length. But okay, so on to the next one. I have Deadlock.
So
you had some things that you wanted to say about this.
So Deadlock is a new game that Valve is working on. Even though the topic here isn't really the game itself, I'm not going to be talking about the game because fundamentally this game hasn't even been officially announced. There were rumors, there were all of these things, people talking about it, and supposedly it's a new game that Valve's been working on. Now, the thing is, this is going on a friends and family type of like closed alpha. And the idea is if you're a friend and family, you get a certain number of codes that then you can send to somebody else. And then those people get codes and then they can send it to somebody else. And it kind of like spreads organically. And this has been spreading to the point where at a certain point in time, the game had over 20,000 people playing it. Now, 20,000 concurrents is a lot for a game that hasn't even been announced.
I mean, it's not even open beta, right? It's like closed friends and family beta.
Closed alpha, okay? And it's an early development build. Now, the thing is, whenever you boot up the game, apparently, there's a message that pops up that even says, early development build. Deadlock is still early in development with a lot of temporary art and experimental gameplay. Do not share anything about the game with anyone. Now, naturally, whenever you have one of these things, this is what we would consider to be like an informal thing. This is not like something that is legally binding in any way. So naturally, there's a ton of people that jump into this beta. They're going to capture footage. They're going to talk to other people about it and spread information. And probably if you go onto YouTube right now, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of videos out there in regards to this, right? So what ends up happening and where things get a little bit weird is when Sean Hollister, who is a senior editor and a founding member of The Verge, straight up just like, hey, I've been playing Deadlock. I don't give a fuck about what Valve says at the start of the thing. That's basically what he says. Doesn't say it like that, but that's basically what he says. Yeah. Because apparently this early development build message has an OK button on it, which implies that if you hit the OK, it means that you're accepting the thing. You've accepted it. But you know, Sean Hollister found a workaround. Rather than hitting OK, he discovered that he could just press escape. And therefore it's like, hey, I'm not breaking anybody's confidence. I didn't break any rules. I didn't hit OK. I never agreed to any of this. And it's like,
what an investigator.
Look, bro, you want to like just not respect the developers? That's fine. But don't be like, I never hit the OK button, so technically it's like, bro, it doesn't even matter if you hit the OK button. There's nothing legally binding about this, right?
Yeah.
This is basically an honor system.
Good faith.
Yeah, it's good faith. Valve is like, hey, listen, we're letting you play this early. It'll help us like figure out what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what you like, what you don't like, and we'll be able to make this better. Please don't show it to anybody. The reason developers don't usually want to show this type of stuff to people is because there's a lot of people out there that they see like an early version of a game and they'll just be like, oh my God, this is so bad. This is absolutely fucking terrible. This is atrocious. This is going to suck. And I know that people are going to be very quick to bring up, Rurikon, you recently did this to Soulframe. That's different because Soulframe has been in development for a ridiculous amount of time. That build that they showed is not as early as you would be like, oh no, it's actually super, super early. Super, super early, what? Fucking 6 years in development at this point or whatever the fuck? Like, what do you mean? Like, what are we talking about? Right? So, you know, these are different things. And not to mention, that one was not leaked. They chose to show it, by the way.
Yeah, anyway, that's the big distinction.
That's like a different topic altogether. But,
like,
but basically,
I just want to, I want to just to latch on to your explanation there. there is a major difference between things leaking that I did not want the public to see, because I don't want the public to judge the things that are leaking, because the game is too early in development, and me putting it out into the world. The second I put it out into the world, I am inviting the public to criticize the things that I'm putting out into the world, right? But there's a major fucking difference.
But basically, the idea here is, I don't think anybody is reasonably saying like, oh, you guys broke the NDA. No, you didn't break the NDA. There is no NDA. No real. This is an informal thing. This is very much like, hey, please don't fuck us over. And though it's like, actually, I don't care. And I understand why. I understand why they did it, because like there's a bunch of videos out on YouTube already. So they're like, bro, this shit is more public than God knows. It doesn't even matter. Everybody's seen it. So I'm going to talk about it. Now, the thing is, when you talk about it from a professional standpoint, right, this is a publication that probably gets millions of views, I would expect, and you have a massive audience. But basically, I have a responsibility to, basically somewhat adhering and respecting some rules within the industry. And when you don't do that, the main thing that bothers me isn't even, because like a lot of people like, oh, Rurikon, when I've started expressing this, people start saying Rurikon shilling for Valve. It's like, look, I don't give a fuck about Valve. I don't give a fuck about Deadlock. It's probably not even going to be a game that I play. I really don't. I couldn't care less. Means nothing to me. The thing that bothers me is that whenever you have big publications or big, personalities talking about this stuff and breaking these types of informal agreements, it is a problem for newcomers in the industry, because I've been a newcomer in the industry, and trying to get your foot in the door, trying to like get a contact at a publisher to gain access to literally anything. It's like, bro, it's like pulling teeth every single time. And a lot of the things that I ended up getting access to have actually been the product of blind luck. I happened to be at the right place at the right time. And the thing is, whenever you have people breaking these rules, it makes it harder for everybody else. So, and I'm just thinking about the people that are coming in after me, because like for me, I'm probably like, I'm good. Like at this point, I'm good. This means nothing to me. But for the next guy that's coming down the line, that's trying to jump into the video game industry, right? Yeah. There's going to be more red tape that gets added because of people that do this. There's going to be more NDAs. There's going to be more legal binding. And it gets to the point where a lot of people that happen to be in PR positions, right? They look at somebody and it's like, it's somebody that's unproven, somebody that is new to the industry. They're like, why should I bother if there's even the slightest of chance that this person is going to leak something? Fuck him. It's not worth my time to work with this person if there's even a hint of a chance that he's going to leak. And because whenever you have people that keep doing this, and especially when it's someone as high profile as The Verge, it's a problem. It's just a problem. And it's like, again, if you want to do this, do this. You do whatever the fuck you want. Just don't be surprised with fucking Pikachu face when people come out and be like, hey, you shouldn't have done that. That was a pretty fucking scummy thing to do. It's like, because that's the thing. Sean Hollister and Tom Warren have been like, well, they're just like surprised Pikachu face when people gave him shit. It's like, what do you mean? You know you did something wrong. What the fuck do you mean? It's like, look, if I was to pull one of these things, because like, let's face it, Valve doesn't release games that often. So this is a calculated risk for them. It's like, bro, we report early on the next Valve game. What are they going to do? Blacklist us from this game? The next time they'll have a chance to blacklist us will be 10 fucking years from now. They probably won't even remember it. It doesn't even fucking matter. So it's 100% a calculated risk. They don't give a fuck. They just wanted clicks. It's that simple. Don't speak all high and mighty. They start saying, well, we're journalists. We have to inform our audience. You have to inform your audience of what? Like, what? This shit's already on YouTube, but there's 1,000 different videos on YouTube of people that don't give a shit about this, but they don't have an audience. That's the difference. Oh, yeah. They also posted, they straight up posted like over 20 minutes of unedited gameplay on YouTube. Straight up. It's like,
oh, yeah, but of course.
Like, do the article, and then they just, here's a bunch of gameplay on there as well. Boom, done. Yeah.
But I will just say, the thing that bothers me is journalists love to go on and on about journalistic integrity, right?
Yeah, and exactly.
The reason you can't trust YouTubers is they don't abide by journalistic integrity we have to tell the truth.
Exactly.
Integrity is more than just telling the truth. Integrity is honoring an honor fucking system. If I tell you something off the record, which basically this is, we're showing you the game off the record. That's why we're asking you not to tell anyone. Then it is, I think, actually, you can be sued by people. So if a journalist asks you a question, if I'm not mistaken, someone can maybe inform me on this.
Because here's the thing. I don't think they got their key directly from Valve. It was probably a friend of a friend of a friend that had been passed down, and eventually it gets to them. So if it was directly from Valve, then they could get sued, I feel like. But since they got it from somebody else.
I just want to say, I'm not saying that Valve can sue them. I'm talking about if you were to interview someone and they said off the record, and you then included what they say to you off the record, I'm actually quite certain the person that said off the record can sue you for including their words on the record when they made it very clear that what they're about to tell you is off the record. I'm pretty sure about this, but someone can let me know in the car if we have some lawyers or someone watching. Let us know about that. But the whole point is, right, there's such a thing as integrity. Yeah. Now, if you're willing to break that honor system, why should I trust anything? This goes back to our conversation last week where I told you that these people are all scumbags. Because this is the kind of shit they pull.
And I have to be the one that's like, not all of them. Not all of them. And it's funny because I'm like the one that's actually saying, like, look, I believe that there are game journalists out there. They're actually doing good work. They're actually doing cool stuff and whatnot. and then I also have to be the one that brings these types of bullshits in here. And I was like, bro, what are you doing?
Well, The Verge watched our episode. Dude? The Verge watched our episode and they were like, hold my fucking beer. I'll prove this guy wrong.
Yeah, bro, The Verge was watching the Mythic Banter and then they were just like, oh, he doesn't think we're all bad? Let me fix that.
Well, we'll show him.
I still don't think that all game journalists are bad. I still think that there's genuinely a lot of cool people out there.
I still think all of you are scumbags. Like, just so that you know. But I don't want any journalist to think, oh wait, Akalon is softening his position on us.
No. That's fair. It is what it is. But yeah, I think it's fairly scummy to do something like that, and it does. What it tends to do is it tends to make developers and PR firms more hesitant to choose the people that they work with whenever a big leak like this comes out, which just makes it harder for people to get their foot in the industry. And the thing is, these people, right, they have a website, they're The Verge, they're big. It's not like all of a sudden a big publisher is going to go like, oh yeah, we're not going to send a review code to The Verge because they dicked over fucking Valve on that Deadlock situation. It's not going to happen, right? They have their access. So they just don't give a fuck. If there's somebody new coming up in the industry, they literally don't care about it. It's like, fuck you. You can fucking starve for all I care. I have my access and you can go get
But it doesn't
bent.
matter, Rurikon. It doesn't matter because The Verge, they don't mind because if they can't cover video games, they can always build PCs. I mean, they're masters at that. So,
bro,
you know.
I remember that. That was so bad. Oh my God, dude. That fucking PC build was so bad.
Dude, that was the worst. Oh, wow. Let's not even get back. That's all drama.
Jesus Christ. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, they can always go back to building some PCs if the gaming industry closes up shop. But no, the fact of the matter is, theoretically, I understand the necessity for media, right? And the problem is that when you have large publications doing stuff like this, it is absolutely true that it does make PR firms and game developers a lot more antsy around sending out these codes and giving information away, right? Because now, the next time some really scumbag shit happens in the industry, whistleblowers will start to think, wait a second, I asked not to have my name included, but I remember when Steam asked them not to fucking leak footage, they couldn't give two shits about that. So maybe I'm not going to come forward with my story. Maybe I'm just going to quit my job and go off into the sunset because I can't trust these people because they've proven themselves over and over again to be fucking scumbags. So it's just like terrible.
It's like for someone like me, right? Where in my other podcast, I often reach out to developers to come talk about their video games and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And, people might start getting more hesitant when it comes to stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, yeah, who's this random fucking stranger asking me to come talk about my video game? Probably going to paint some fucked up narrative about how my game is bad or something like that. Because, you just don't know what to expect, which just doesn't. It's just bad for the industry all around, in my opinion. And I don't think they're using the excuse of like, oh, there's a bunch of no-name YouTube channels that are posting content about it. Well, yeah, because they got nothing to lose, but they also are not journalists at a fucking mainstream publication.
Yeah, it does put Valve in a very hot spot because with the individual YouTubers, it's easy to just never again send them any access to anything, blacklist them from the industry, basically. The problem is, what do you do with large publications such as The Verge? You could blacklist them, and maybe Valve will, because Valve has never really played by the same rules as anyone else. But most other developers would immediately go, if we blacklist The Verge, we lose potential eyeballs. And many eyeballs.
And the thing about these leaks, right, I feel like there's a balance to be had when it comes to leaking stuff. Like, for instance, there might be a publisher that's planning to do something super scummy, right? Where they're coming up with this really scummy monetization scheme, or, they've done something really shady during development and whatnot. And I do think that those things are important to be talked about. But then there's other leaks that it's just like, oh, we've, which one was it? I think it was like The Last of Us 2, which even though the story of The Last of Us 2 is a fucking travesty, but it leaked online, like, weeks before the game ever came out, and everybody was just spoiling everything. And it's like, was that a good thing to be leaked? I don't care if the story is bad. It's not like they were doing anything that was bad for the consumer. They were just ruining the story of their game. But it's like, was that a good leak? I don't know. Another thing that is like, for instance, with Monster Hunter, stuff that sometimes leaks is the monster roster. And I was like, bro, I don't want to know what monsters are in the game. I want to find them when I'm playing the fucking game. And it's like, and people just report on all the leaks and whatnot. It's like, come on, man. It's like, it's a fucked up situation. Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's just a travesty all around. Going from one travesty, though, to the next, from The Verge. And guys, I recognize that this week is a little bit thin on large drama. But I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, because it's also thin on gaming news, because Gamescom is next week. So all of the gaming companies are holding their news for next week. So we'll have an update as soon as Gamescom is concluded. I'm hoping for a lot of games to be announced at the Gamescom, but I have also in recent years started to not give a fuck when it comes to, these kinds of conventions, because oftentimes what you see at these conventions is a lot of nothing, with them basically just hyping the games that you already know about and not really bringing anything new. So let's hope that this year is a little bit different, but we'll see, right? We have something, this is sort of just, it's a very happy coincidence for us this week, because we have 3 different topics. One of them we've been sitting on for about 2 weeks now that we really wanted to cover, but we keep running out of time. And it just happens to slot perfectly with 2 other stories that we have that's come out this week. So first things first, I don't think it comes as a surprise to anyone, least of all us. The gaming industry is in a bit of a, what do you call it, dumpster fire for the most part.
See, I don't agree with that. I think there's problems.
Dude, I do.
I think there's problems. I don't think dumpster fire is the proper way of talking about it.
So the reason,
I think if you look, there's a game out there for everybody, a new game out there for everybody to play. There's a new game.
I don't think so. Not in the AAA space.
Oh, yeah.
I think in the AAA space, you have, in terms of new games, every once in a while, you'll have one game that happens to sort of hit, right? And hit right, but for the most part, pretty much most of the things they release are complete and utter drivel. And then they just double down on the drivel, and they want more of the same fucking drivel. I don't know if I necessarily agree that there is something for everyone. Now, that's not to say that there aren't games that are good that still comes out of the AAA space, but I also think in this regard, the word AAA has become muddied as fuck, right? Because you'll have games that are absolutely AAA, but then they come from studios like From Software, and you go, well, I don't even know if I want to include them in a conversation where I say AAA developers, because when you say AAA developers nowadays, you're specifically talking about Ubisoft, EA, Activision, Blizzard to some extent. You're talking about scumbag companies doing scumbag things and basically trying to milk their games for as much as they can, instead of necessarily talking about the budget of the game, right?
See, the thing is, when it comes to AAA, right, you mentioned a bunch of names, and I agree with you on those names. Usually those things are not particularly good. But when it comes to AAA, I would argue that now you're also talking about Capcom with some of the output that they do, where that's Dragon's Dogma, Monster Hunter. I consider those to be AAA. You're talking about Square Enix, and Square Enix's output is a little bit more chaotic. Like, for instance, I think that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is pretty good from what I've played of it so far. Final Fantasy XIV is awesome, but then there's also a bunch of titles that I don't really care for. There's newcomers to the AAA space like Cygames, which put out Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which is absolutely phenomenal. I love that. I don't know if you would consider Helldivers AAA. I think Helldivers is probably more AA.
No, it is independent because
it's not independent because it was published by Sony.
Yeah.
So it literally is not independent.
But here's the thing. The studio itself was an independent studio, right? Even though it had a publisher, it technically isn't independent because it has a publisher, but also at the same time, pretty much all indie studios nowadays have a publisher.
Yeah, but like on top of it, then you also have, for instance, Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade I'd consider to be AAA, absolutely, and it's friggin' awesome. We have the DLC for Elden Ring from Software. Yep. So it's like, there's a bunch of really cool stuff. And like I said, this is why I think that there's a game out there for everyone that is either a new game or getting updated or all of that stuff that is good, which is why whenever we say it's a dumpster fire, I'm like, is it? Like, I get it. If all you play is like Electronic Arts, Activision, and Ubisoft, yeah, it's a fucking dumpster fire. It's fucking terrible. Everything's bad and everything's exploding at all times. 100% agree. But if you look past those and you look at some of the other experiences we can have, I don't think it's that bad. So what do? I just don't play these things from Activision.
Well, I will say, up until now, the definition of AAA is exclusively tied to budget, right? That's literally why a game would be AA, AAA, or just indie. It has to do with the budget. Now, indie also comes with is it an independent studio or is it a studio that is significantly tied to a publisher? Don't make a mistake, indie companies can absolutely use publishers, and almost all of them do, but they're still independent insofar as the studio isn't owned by the publisher or doesn't have a long-running contract with say publisher. It's more a case of on a game-by-game basis, they will choose a publisher based on what makes sense. So that would make it an independent studio. The budget conversation, again here, I would say if we're talking AAA, at some point our definition of what a large budget looks like will have to be adapted. Because I can guarantee you, if I compare the budgets for games that come from Ubisoft or EAS or Activision, I am going to find that those budgets dwarf the budgets for most Square Enix games or most From Software games.
No, not Rebirth, bro. Rebirth is like, that's giga budget levels, dude. Like, no, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I mean, I would have to see it because
I do want to say Square Enix sort of walks the line between an Eastern developer and a fucking Western developer, because they can do some scumbag shit in line with the Western developers that most of the other studios in the East has at least not yet followed with, right? So you don't see From Software, for example, putting out the kind of slop and the kind of greed that Square Enix will sometimes put out there.
Oh yeah, but like I would argue that From Software's budget is significantly smaller. The thing is, they just do a lot more with the budget that they have.
See, but that's my point. While we look at Elden Ring and we say, dude, this plays like a AAA game. If I compare Elden Ring's budget to any budget from EA, who's going to be the bigger budget, right? And then at some point, you're going to have to say we may need to readjust what we view as AA games versus AAA games, because quality-wise, Elden Ring is a AAA title. But budget-wise, which is what these were always actually based on, Elden Ring isn't a AAA title because they didn't waste a bunch of fucking money on professional motion capture voice actors and, you know, Keanu Reeves playing the main character in the fucking he's the Tarnished, and you play with Keanu Reeves, right? They didn't do that shit. They made a great game. They used their resources perfectly.
Just a funny thing. I've been Googling like the estimated budgets of video games, and there is no way that these figures are anywhere close. Like they're saying, oh, it costs about 150 to 200 million to make Elden Ring. Okay, how much did it cost to make, friggin' Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? About 150 to 200 million. Bullshit. No, I don't believe you.
I doubt it. We'll
I'm pretty sure that
studio
Rebirth
sizes and stuff
has a much higher budget than Elden Ring. The thing is, a lot of these AAA games, what they're doing is they're spending a huge chunk of their budget in, like, you know, famous voice actors and fucking massive cutscenes. And Elden Ring's like, no, we put all our money in gameplay, right? And the interesting thing is they still find amazing voice actors. Like, there's a new one that's in the DLC who's like, curse you, Bale! That's like, bro, that was one of the best voice performances I've seen. So good.
I'll meet you halfway and I'll say the Western development space is in a dumpster fire, right? That's where I'll meet you. That doesn't mean that there aren't good games coming out of the West, but for the most part, a lot of the Western developers are dumpster fire levels. Now, Nadeshot, for those of you that don't know, Nadeshot owns 100 Thieves, an esports organization. Also used to be a massive streamer, a massive content creator. Not sure how big as a content creator he still is, but Nadeshot came out and on stream said that it seems like gamers hate games. Because every new game that comes out, gamers are almost immediately writing the game off, complaining about the game nonstop. And as far as he's concerned, this needs to stop. Gamers need to stop doing this.
Every new game that comes out?
I think he said almost every new game.
Okay, almost every new game.
Yeah,
all right.
If I'm not mistaken, but I am paraphrasing. So
I mean, it's interesting to say that because just this year there's been so many new games, and I don't know if maybe it's just a corner of the internet that I personally inhabit that is significantly different from his. But like, for instance, my community, we're all super pumped for Monster Hunter Wilds. We're all like friggin' cheering it on. We've been getting like these weapon overview drops where they give us like a little glimpse of what each of the weapons is going to play like in the game. Everybody is super hyped to dive into the game. I find very little complaints, and when you do find them, it's just that very vocal minority, very, very small number of people who are like, actually, I don't like it. There's not that many people. You look, for instance, at No Man's Sky. Whenever it comes out with an update, everybody's super pumped. Hell, I constantly see tweets of people telling Sean Murray, let me give you money, because he keeps giving this shit away for free, right? New game came out not even that long ago, Kunitsugami, people super hyped. Shadow of the Earth Tree, everybody hyped. There were some people that were talking shit about Shadow of the Earth Tree. We talk about that too. But again, vocal minority, right? And I see tons of examples like this of Stellar Blade, new games coming out and everybody's excited about them. The thing is, we as humans have this negative perception where it's very easy to like, we can, like, for instance, you and I, perfect example, we go to our comment section, we read like 99 positive comments.
Yep.
And then we read that one comment where it's just some guy that doesn't even make a good point. He's like, yeah, but you're fat. Like that's his contribution. And we're like, fuck that guy, that oh man, that just like takes you, and your brain just ignores the 99 positive comments. We're built this way. This is a human thing. It just ignores that, but that one, yeah, but you're fat. That comment just like goes right into the archive, like neatly stored away so that it keeps pulling that back out. It's like, yeah, but you're fat. Yeah, but you're fat. Yeah. You know, it's like that. And it's, you know, so there's that. And I guess that is part of it. But at the same time, I'm guessing that a majority of what Nadeshot plays, considering that his name is Nadeshot, I would assume he'd be like a big FPS guy or something like that.
Yeah,
he's probably like Call of Duty, Battlefield, all of these things that have been going down the shitter over the years and have been complete garbage as far as I'm concerned. Here's the thing. I know that Call of Duty, I know that there's some people that's like, actually, Call of Duty number 50 something, this one was actually really good. And it's like, bro, I don't
give a shit.
I don't fucking know.
It's basically the same one. Shut the fuck up.
So I can understand where his point of view is coming from. But the thing is, gamers, when he's talking about those, gamers are complaining about those games because a lot of those games that he's excited for have been crap for a long time.
I mean, this is exactly my point, right? And this is why I think a guy like Nadeshot doesn't understand it. But it's like, dude, this industry is so plagued by recency bias and just looking at individual things and refusing to look at the whole. So he comes out and he says it just looks like gamers these days hate games because they just complain about all the new games coming out. And it's like, well, actually, that's not true. People were super excited about Elden Ring. People were super excited about Palworld. People were super excited about Helldivers 2. People were super excited about Baldur's Gate 3. So people were very much complaining about the new Call of Duty. People are very much complaining about the new Star Wars. People are very much complaining about the new Assassin's Creed. What do these things have in common? Well, some of them are done with passion and love, and you can tell that they care about the gamers, and this is why they made these games. And some of them are pure garbage being pushed upon the gamers. I mean, dude, I have now seen quite a lot of footage of the new Star Wars Outlaws game, and I will tell you, this game looks like ass. It looks like ass. It doesn't look new. You know, you would expect, dude, you have the Star Wars franchise.
Here's the thing.
Your possibilities are endless with what you can do here. Why do you make the game look like crap?
Here's the thing. I don't even care that much about what the visual fidelity of it is, because I think that in terms of it respecting the overall vision and the art of Star Wars, the little that I've seen, it's like, it seems okay. What bothers me is that their animation game is still garbage. And I don't know if that's what you're talking about when you say it looks like ass. It's more like it animates like ass, because it most definitely does animate like ass, and the gameplay doesn't look particularly fun.
Yeah. The reason why I use the word look like ass is because it is encompassing of a bunch of different things. So graphically, it looks a little washed out. It looks like when your graphics card isn't quite strong enough to play on ultra graphics, and so you bump down a lot of the shadows and stuff, and now it just sort of it's still graphics, you know, you can still tell that the developers were trying to make the game look all right, but it doesn't really pop, you know, it's not, especially when you start to compare it to, say, for example, Cyberpunk 2077 or even Elden Ring, right? And you go, here you have a game that you can see the developers fucking hardcore wanted to make this game look phenomenal. And then you have this game, which isn't bad. It's serviceable. Don't get me wrong. I'm not actually a graphical snob. I don't actually give a shit. But to my mind, this is the first time in such a long time that anyone other than EA gets the license for a Star Wars game.
No. Actually, no, that's wrong. The license has been released for a while.
Not in terms of video games coming out, though.
Yes.
In terms of video games coming out, we had the last Star Wars games from the EA affiliate company that came out, the Last Jedi bullshit and stuff. And I think Quantum Dream did
but I think
game.
Quantum Dream didn't do it yet. I think they're still working on
it. Oh, they're in the process of doing it.
Yeah,
but
like I'm pretty sure that the license hasn't been exclusive to EA in a while.
It was like a few years ago that the license was revoked from EA. The only reason I remember it was pretty big news at the time that Disney was looking at other partners for Star Wars as well. So you can just double check this. But I'm not talking about when the license was removed from EA. I'm talking about since the license has been removed.
Oh,
this is the largest game coming out.
You're right.
Of Star Wars, right?
You're right. The license was set to expire in 2023. Oh, no, but it was set to expire in 2023.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
in 2021 was when they announced partnerships with others to produce Star Wars games.
Yes.
So 2021 was when they got rid of it. I thought it was
so
even
this
earlier, but yeah.
This is your big moment, right? This is the moment that you get to announce to the world, we finally have, because let's be real, EA has basically used that license to shoot themselves in the dick over and over again with just bad Star Wars game or canceled Star Wars game after canceled Star Wars game. So you have this moment. This is your moment to establish yourself as the #1 Star Wars player in the field. And from this moment forward, every gamer is going to be like, if it isn't like Star Wars Outlaws, I don't want to fucking play it. And instead, you bring out a game that, let's be real, the AI looks janky as fuck. The combat looks janky as shit. You have explosions going off, and the NPCs don't even react to the explosions going off. You shoot people in town, and the NPCs are just going about their business. You have games that came out like fucking almost a decade ago that doesn't have that shit, where NPCs actually run away. The first Assassin's Creed, if you assassinated someone, people would react to the fact that you just assassinated someone. So what is going on? Like, why are these things? Because these are important things. And the reason they're important is not just for immersion, but from a development standpoint, it shows an attention to detail.
100%.
Right? You were paying attention to what you were doing in this game. These are important little things that very quickly start to stack up. And that's what people are complaining about.
And let me tell you why this happens. You want to know why this happens? Because I remember complaining about this all the way back in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. We've talked about this at length, but like one of the things was I complained about it, and I had a bunch of fucking Ubisoft sycophants come into my comment section either telling me that didn't happen to me, despite the fact that it was shown in video in fucking front of them. Like, I know that AI has evolved quite a bit, but back then we had nothing like that. And even now, AI is not going to be replicating the bullshit that I was showing people on Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And it's like, this is happening in your face, and your response is, didn't happen to me. Sounds like a you problem. I think the animations actually look really good. And it's like, well, okay, good. You give that feedback back to the developers, and now here you go. Here's Assassin's Creed Shadows, and here's fucking Star Wars Outlaw. Enjoy. Yeah. This is what you get. You get the Ubislop, you get their fucking watered down open world formula that is always the exact same bullshit with almost no differences. These garbage ass animations that it's like, listen, I am not exaggerating, and people are you can call me out on this all you want, but from a gameplay standpoint, the original Dark Souls in 2011 has better animations than Star Wars Outlaws.
Bro, I would go so far as to say the original Prince of Persia on DOS has better fucking animations.
Bro, the animations of the original Prince of Persia were fucking amazing.
Exactly.
They were really good.
So the thing is just the point that I'm trying to make here, and I think that Rurikon is trying to make as well, is Nadeshot is talking out of his ass because he doesn't understand what the gamers are complaining about. And it's important to understand this. The fact that you can point to games like Baldur's Gate and say, gamers didn't complain about that, should tell you that gamers are not just complaining because they hate fucking games. Not a single gamer complained about Stellar Blade. The journalists went fucking mental about Stellar Blade, but the gamers I'm still excited. I want that game to come to PC so that I can play that game because
that game is awesome, bro.
Fucking phenomenal.
Fucking awesome.
Right?
Dude, and the soundtrack of that game, oh my dude, what
it looks
treat.
insane.
It's amazing.
It looks really good. Yep. Gamers weren't complaining about Red Dead Redemption. Gamers weren't complaining about GTA. Why? Because these games paid attention to what they were doing, and they were doing the best that they could do within the art style that they were going for, the feel and the environment. It's like people saying, oh, I don't know why gamers are just consistently complaining, and then you point to Starfield as exhibit number A for why gamers are just consistently fucking complaining. And then I go, okay, here is me pointing my gun at a civilian in Cyberpunk 2077, and here is me pointing my gun at a civilian in Starfield. In Cyberpunk 2077, you pull out your gun and people start remarking. As soon as you aim your gun, people start running for the fucking hills and the police start showing up. In Starfield, I'm aiming right at the guy. Literally right. I'm looking at the guy. He's looking right at me. I have my gun on him and he's just standing there. He doesn't even remark, get that gun out of my face. No. He just keeps the same voice lines going over and over and over again. And you're telling me I'm just complaining because I hate video games?
Listen, if I could grab the Starfield shipbuilding system that they had and just their space combat system and just have that, bro, I actually really liked it. I liked building my ships. It was amazing. I fucking loved it. I love being able to walk inside my ship after I build it. That was so immersive. I fucking loved that. But there were also a lot of fucking problems. I still enjoyed my time with it, but there were a ton of problems in that game. Yeah,
I'll be honest with you. I played the game multiple times and I've tried multiple times. I can't get into the game because, quite frankly, the loading screens ruin everything for me about that game because it's supposed to be the space exploration game. Good luck if you want to fucking explore anything in space. You will be there forever flying from one planet to the other.
No,
it's not
you just
doable.
Teleport. You just fucking teleport.
Like, but that immediately brings in a fucking loading screen in order to teleport to this planet. Even though, and I should say this, it has an animation of you going into hyperdrive, but then as soon as the animation for the hyperdrive ends, loading screen. It's like, well, what the fuck is this animation for? Why don't you just do the loading screen immediately and we can cut the crap, right?
Yeah, but like, back on topic. Yeah, I agree. There's a ton of problems in Western studios because they've been resting on their laurels for far too long, and the Japanese studios and other Asian studios are now coming in and they're just like basically taking their lunch money. But
it's good that you say this because this transitions perfectly into the next topic. Just this week, I made a video on this yesterday and Ruricon saw this yesterday, I think, as well.
Yep.
The Korean studios, and we're talking specifically about the bigger, new-ish Korean studios, have discovered something. Now, in order for you to understand this, you have to understand a little bit of backstory here. For the longest time, there has been two accepted cultures within gaming. The Western culture and the Eastern culture. In the West, we absolutely fundamentally reject pay to win. Never mind what EA will tell you, or what Ubisoft will tell you. Gamers in the West do not like pay to win. The East has always had a bit of a different view on the whole pay-to-win discussion. It's been a lot more acceptable in the East because fundamentally the logic there from gamers is I don't have as much time to play the game as an unemployed poor person, so I should be able to use my money that I'm making from working to get caught up in the game. And that's why almost all like Korean games are super fucking grindy and heavily monetized. Because the culture accepted this. The thing is, the Western studios sort of hoped that in time, the gamers will adapt to this, and then they would also be able to start making these heavily grindy, sort of pay-to-win games that's very friendly to pay-to-win. EA tried it a couple of times. Ubisoft tried it a couple of times. Each of them ran into some severe problems insofar as no one wants to fucking play the game, because we believe that a game and real life are separate. If I'm spending 20 hours in the game and you're spending 2 hours in the game, I should be 18 hours ahead of you. And I don't give a fuck if you spent that time, taking care of your sick mom. Well, good luck to your sick mom. I'm playing the fucking video. I have my priorities straight, bitch. I need 18 hours on you in this game, right? Like, we're very sort of heartless when it comes to that. That being said, though, it seems like instead of the Eastern culture rubbing off on the West, the Western culture is starting to rub off on the East. Because all of these single-player studios have now announced, all of these Korean studios have now announced that they are going to shift their focus from these heavy monetization games and even mobile games to more platforms like PC and more linear single-player games. Because first and foremost, the Western market is a lot bigger, and so getting their games into the Western hands would make them a lot more money, and their games aren't really translating that well to the West. I even saw a report yesterday while I was preparing for my video that showed that while Western gamers will play these sort of gacha games from the East, they're far less likely to spend money in these gacha games than players in the East, right? So fundamentally, but now it also starts to turn out that gamers in Korea, like specifically younger gamers, are no longer willing to accept the bullshit about, oh, you're working this long, you should be able to buy your way to the top. They just don't want to buy their way to the top. They want games that are made for them. What's your thoughts?
So there's a section in the article here, one of the articles that I was reading, that says, the Lies of P director, which, by the way, Lies of P is a game that I've not only played, I fucking platinumed it. I had a love-hate relationship with that game. I love to hate it, and I hate it to love it. But, it is a good game, and I do recommend Lies of P. It's an awesome game. But Lies of P director Jin Wong Choi said that a major indicator that he saw, because of this thing that we're seeing now, that there's a lot of South Korean studios that are developing these single-player games for the West, a major indicator that he saw was the shift in what game students are making at universities. And at a recent showcase, only one out of 17 students groups was making a mobile game. So out of 17 student groups, only one of those groups was working on a mobile game. Hyung Tae is, I believe, is Kim Hyung Tae, the guy behind Stellar Blade, said that he thinks the shift inside South Korea correlates to an age and income shift in mobile players, because popular mobile games in the country are so heavily designed around grind-based monetization, which is fucking disgusting, by the way. Older players with lots of money to burn are more likely to play them. He referred to this demographic as being middle-aged. That's continued for the past 20 years, and players have become older, so it's harder to acquire new and younger users for games. Basically, the younger users are like, bro, this motherfucker put fucking $10,000 into this game. I ain't never gonna catch up. Bro, I'm making like 50 cents an hour over here. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Right? So it's harder for them to get new and younger users for games. But this is one of the things that they're saying. Now, me personally, I also have a different view on this that is not portrayed in this article, which is, how for years we've been told by these exact same studios that you were telling me about, like Electronic Arts, Activision Blizzard, who was the other one? Ubisoft. We've been told by these studios, like, players don't want single player games. There needs to be season passes and live servers and blah, 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 blah. This is what players want. And it turns out that because of the fact that these developers have fundamentally refused to actually give players what they want, the sudden Korean developers like, hey, people keep telling they want single-player games. Let's make a couple of single-player. Give it to them. Yeah, they're not going to give it to them. Let's make a couple of them and see how it works out. And out of these people that they're talking to here, which is Pearl Abyss. Pearl Abyss are the guys behind Black Desert Online. They're working on a single-player game called Crimson Desert. Then there's also NCSoft is working with another smaller studio that's working on another game, which is called First Berserker Kazan, which is also going to be a single-player game. And then we have the guys behind Stellar Blade, which has been brutally successful as far as I'm concerned. Stellar Blade's a fucking phenomenal game. Cannot recommend that enough. And then we have the guys behind Lies of P, which, again, another game that has been so successful in the West. I don't know if you've been following the stories behind Lies of P, but there are people that will swear by it so hard that they'll be like, this is the best Souls-like outside of actual Souls game that was ever made. And there's people that straight up say this is better than Bloodborne, this is better than Sekiro, which I don't agree with, but there are segments of the community that like it that much. So it's like, oh yeah, these games that a lot of you guys in the West say that we don't want and that are not profitable and that will never be good, the people in the East are making those games, shipping them to the West, and they're getting critically acclaimed out the ass and making fucking bank, and that's what you fucking get for being arrogant fucking pricks. It is what it is. It's that simple.
And it's going to continue because these studios
100%.
also don't suffer from the, and I don't want to talk about, we've spoken about this so many fucking times, but they also don't suffer from the woke DEI consultancy bullshit. They're just making good video games. And I guess all of these misogynist video gamers didn't realize that Stellar Blade has a female protagonist because they were all fucking playing it like bad misogynist. Bad misogynist. How dare you? Also racist and happened to be Asian, but never mind that. We'll just fucking pass right over that. The funny thing is, right, what the West fails to realize is live service games work when it's niche. When only a few live service games exist, that's perfectly fine because there are players that love live service games. But when you talk about video games, it's not a case of there's a pie and every game that comes out take a slice out of that pie so the pie gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Because I can play Baldur's Gate 3 and I can finish Baldur's Gate 3, then I can play Elden Ring and I can finish Elden Ring, and then I can play Cyberpunk and I can finish Cyberpunk, and so on and so forth. So I can play all of these games. I don't necessarily have to play all of these games at launch, but I will be able to play all of these games. But if I want to play World of Warcraft, which technically is a live service game, or if I want to play Far Cry, if I want to play any of Ubisoft or EA's nonsense, I effectively have to say, okay, I want to play The Division 2, but I also want to play Far Cry. I also want to play EA's new whatever, right? Battlefield or
I think
Activision's Call of Duty or whatever.
Far Cry is probably not a good example because you can play Far Cry whenever you want, single player game.
Yeah. But this didn't stop them from releasing all sorts of cash shop bullshit in it. But never mind that, right? So it's still trying to be this always content bullshit, right? But if I want to play all of these different games, I suddenly go, okay, wait a second. If I really want to play Division 2, let's use better examples so people follow sort of, because I know what I mean in my head, but I'm going to have to go on a massive explanation in order to explain that. So let me use better examples. If I want to play The Division 2, but I also kind of want to play Destiny 2, right? I need to accept one fact. I can't play both of these games.
Yep, not going to happen.
I have to make a decision here. Do I play Destiny 2 or do I play The Division 2?
I'm actually going through a similar situation right now in which I really want to play Guild Wars 2, but at the same time, I also want to play Final Fantasy 14, and I can't play both. I can't play both because I'm also covering all of these other games. Like I'm covering Monster Hunter, I'm covering all of these things. So it's like, and even 14, I've barely been able to play 14. But basically, I've been playing 14 because I'm invested in the story of 14. And it's like, what ends up happening is I really also want to play Guild Wars 2, but I don't have the time. I just don't have the time. And again, I'm somebody who does this for a fucking living.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the point, right? Is the world of live service games is a pie.
Yeah.
And every single live service game takes a chunk out of that pie. And the pie really is the gamer's time. How much time does a gamer have? So if every single studio is trying to make the next big Destiny 2 or become the next Bungie or become the next whatever, right? Warframe, then no one is going to make any money because you're going to split the small base that you already have, because live service isn't all gamers. It's a niche within the gaming industry. You're splitting that base, and guess what? I can't play Warframe and Destiny 2. Unless, of course, I'm just sort of half-assing my way through it. But if I genuinely wanted to play these games, I need to be always on. I need to always be farming and grinding, because that's how these games are designed to be played. It's the same thing with Baldur's Gate, with Diablo 4, and with Path of Exile.
And see,
these games absolutely compete, right?
This is one of the reasons why I've had people in the community of Monster Hunter sometimes say, oh man, I wish Monster Hunter was more like Destiny so that I could keep playing it forever. And I was like, no, never. Fucking never. Yep. The best thing about Monster Hunter is that it ends and then they make a new one. Because that's how they do it in Monster Hunter. They release the game, and then like a year and change later, they release a massive expansion for the game. And when I say massive expansion, I'm talking like easily 200 more hours on the low end, easily 1,000 more hours if you're a dedicated player. Like that's the type of expansion we're talking about. And then after that, they support that expansion for about 1 year and change as well, with adding new monsters and stuff along the way. And then it gets to a point where they very literally just say, okay, guys, now it's over. We're going to go work on the next one. See you guys then. And that turns out to be a fundamentally superior model to what people are trying to do with, say, for instance, with Destiny. Because you look at Destiny and everybody's complaining, and the monetization on that game is absolutely fucking disgusting. It is terrible. And, there's just problems all around. There's a small section of the community that likes it. But, like, if you're trying to get into Destiny now, I was looking it up the other day, and there's, like, 270 euros worth of content that you have to figure out, what do I buy from this to jump into this game? Like, well, what's the important part? Like, what do I do? Right?
Yeah.
And you look at this, and it's a fucking mess of a situation. And then you look at Monster Hunter. What has Monster Hunter done? Released Monster Hunter World 2018. And then I forget if it was in 2020, whatever, released Monster Hunter World Iceborne, which was the big expansion for World. Awesome, super amazing. Everybody loved it. I personally have over 3,000 hours in that game right now. And then they're like, all right, now we're going to stop. Now we're going to work on Rise. They did Rise, released that. I forget what year it was. It was during the pandemic. And then, they released that game. People loved it. Then they released the expansion to that game a couple of years later. Boom. And then they got to a point, it's like, okay, this is done. Now we're working on Monster Hunter Wilds. And that turns out to be a better live service model, even though it's not a live service. It's sequels. Oh. And the old games are still available to play. You can still go back and play the old ones if you want to. I've been doing that recently. And that is the best way to do it, because at that point, the studio is not concerned about like, oh, the damage numbers. Oh no, people have been playing our game for 5 years and the damage numbers have ballooned. It's like, no, it's a new game. Mm-hmm. You don't bring your save file in. It's a new character. It's that simple. And it's also easier for newcomers to play the game because I just jump in on the latest version of the game and here we go. Then if I want to go back play the older ones, I can do that too. And it's almost like the best version of live service, and it's not even a live service. And I fucking love that, because it ends and then they make a new one and they can innovate and do new things, and there's not this constant upkeep cost, and they're still making money, and it's fucking profitable. 100% it is.
And I think that's the main point, right? Is I am not against companies making live service games. Like, by all means, try your hand at the live service industry every once in a while. See if you have an idea that could actually work. The problem I have is when every game has to be a live service game. That's the issue, because you do have games that would fundamentally work so much better as a single player experience, and yet you are hell-bent on forcing this game into a live service experience because you want the big bucks, right? You want the cash, the moolah that comes with this live service game. And as I've already explained, the pie is done between Destiny 2, which is kind of imploding, and Warframe, which is seemingly just picking up all of the Destiny 2 players, there really isn't a lot of space left for the live service players to make new games and to find time to play these games.
There isn't.
So it truly is just a bunch of nonsense at the end of the day, where you can't keep going and then wonder, why are we losing money constantly? And it sort of leads me into the next topic that we had, and this is the topic that we've been putting off for basically forever. But we're going to sort of maybe interchangeably speak between these two topics, because I'm sure Rurikon also still has stuff that he wants to say about the live service thing, because MMOs are effectively live service games, right?
I feel like they're the original live service game.
Yeah, they are the ones that popularized it. And I would say, to some extent, MMOs at least do live service, in my opinion, right, for the most part. You look at how World of Warcraft approaches it, you look at how Final Fantasy approaches it, and it is the game launches every 2 years or so, you get a new expansion. That expansion then gets new content added consistently over the course of the next 2 years. You pay your subscription and you get all of the content in the game for those 2 years in the subscription. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, but what about the mounts? What about the mounts? We've lost that battle, boys. It's time to let that fucking ship sail. You get most of the content included in your subscription.
Yeah, okay.
Not the mounts.
That I can agree more. You get most of the content.
Yeah.
You get some of the content, not all of the content.
As a player, my only complaint ever with mounts in the shop has been if your game sucks and you're spending more time making mounts for the shop than you are for actually making your game good. That has not been true for World of Warcraft since Dragonflight. It was absolutely true in Shadowlands and also in BFA. But since Dragonflight, the game has been good, the content has been consistent, and it's relatively decent across the board. Final Fantasy has been phenomenal, so I give it a pass. I say, all right, you want to make extra money selling shit in the store? Go for it. As long as I can see that money is actually making the game better, I'm perfectly happy to keep, silent on the matter. I'm not happy, but I'll swallow it. The live service industry, very
That's
different,
what she
right?
said. Yeah. I had to. I'm not happy.
Yeah. But I'll swallow it. But no, so on the MMO space, there is something I feel like we do have to talk about. And this topic really started for both myself and Rurikon as an idea to discuss around the time of all the complaints happening with Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft has had a tumultuous ride for a while in terms of, actually gamers being happy. Even now, with Dragonflight looming, or with the War Within looming, a lot of players are unhappy with the game. And the question is, have MMOs stagnated in just the last decade or two?
I don't know about MMOs themselves stagnating, because I don't have enough time to play all the MMOs that come out, right? But I would definitely say that it does feel like Final Fantasy XIV has definitely stagnated. And I know that a lot of people are going to be mad at that statement, because the game is fun. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with the game playing the way that it does. It's a ton of fun. I like playing it. I'm still playing it. But there's no doubt in my mind that it is definitely stagnated. And World of Warcraft has most definitely stagnated as well. Even though I have different complaints about World of Warcraft. But like in the case of, for instance, Final Fantasy XIV, right? I jump into the latest expansion. I've been playing through the latest expansion, and this one is one that players have been complaining about quite a bit. It's actually been quite interesting, because this is one where the story isn't quite as strong as it was in previous expansions. And I definitely agree with that. I haven't enjoyed the story as much as I've enjoyed previous expansions. Now, I understand that, they've come up with Endwalker is like the ending of a 10-year story, so it makes sense that like things are going to slow down. But this is at a point where I'm like, I actually liked Realm Reborn, which is the one that people consider to be the bad one. I like Realm Reborn way more than I'm enjoying Dawn Trail, like way more, because I just think that the story and the events that happen in Realm Reborn have been infinitely more interesting than what I've experienced so far in Dawn Trail. But I haven't finished Dawn Trail yet, so, take that with a grain of salt. It's not a super interesting story, right? So far, for me, again, people might have different opinions on that. It is what it is. But when it comes to the stagnation side of it, the point that I would like to make is I started playing 14 around Shadowbringers. So when I was doing dungeons in Realm Reborn and Heavensward and Stormblood, I had no idea what I was doing. But when I started, getting to the end of Shadowbringers, that's when I started understanding the fundamental way in which you do dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV, which as the tank, which is what I usually play, you just basically, there's usually 2 packs of trash that consist of 2 individual groups, and then a wall. So there's 2 packs of trash and a wall that you can't get past. So what you do is you aggro the first pack, you run to the second pack, you aggro the second pack, you AoE everything down because the game doesn't physically stops you from moving any further than that in the dungeon. And now what do? You do that again. And after that, there's a boss fight. And after that, you pull 2 more packs, wall, 2 more packs, wall, boss fight. And then again, the same thing. And then the third boss is usually the end boss. Now, there's a little bit of variation here and there depending on the dungeon that you're doing. But that was the way that we did things in Shadowbringers. Guess what? Yeah. It's also the way that every single dungeon works in Endwalker. And guess what? So far, it's been the way that every single dungeon works in Dawn Trail. And it's bro, there's no... As somebody who... My favorite thing to do in MMOs is dungeons. I've always said that. It's I get into a dungeon in 14, right? I love doing it the first time. But then the other times it's bro, there's nothing here. There's nothing here for me. And the worst part is you might consider, oh, it's your first time in the dungeon. Things are going to go wrong. No. Unless the healer makes a mistake, because I'm playing Gunbreaker, so I'm a little bit more dependent on the healer. But unless the healer makes a mistake, and if I was playing Paladin, even if the healer makes a mistake, makes no difference. I'll just fucking heal and tank at the same time. Heal myself, heal the whole fucking party while I'm at it. So it's there's nothing there for me beyond the first time that I go to a dungeon, which is really disappointing. Because bro, I want something different to happen, right? Yeah. Which at least in World of Warcraft, the dungeons are a little bit better when it comes to that stuff. But then again, in World of Warcraft, the balance of classes is such shit that there's such a thing as okay, this is the tank that you want to play this specific season. If you're trying to play this other tank, it's going to fucking suck. And then next season, that might swap around, and now this is the better tank, and this other tank's going to suck. And it's bro, get your fucking shit together, bro. I just want to do some fucking cool dungeons and have a good time. And, it's just these studios are not delivering on that experience for me personally. So, I would that's one of the things. The other thing, again, in terms of Final Fantasy XIV, is that there is literally no challenge at any point during the MSQ. I understand MSQ needs to be done by every player, but I mean, come on, bro. There should be a little bit of friction. Now, I should say that in Dawn Trail, there has been one quest that it took me 2 tries to make, I think. Also because I was swapping between different tanks and not experimenting, but it took me 2 tries to do. And I was a little bit of friction happened once. And I don't know, fucking 40 hours of gameplay or something like that. And it's bro, happened once.
Yeah.
And it's I don't think that we should approach MSQs and the main campaign of an MMO as it just being okay, somebody that has literally no hand-eye coordination needs to be able to do this. It's this shouldn't be our baseline. Okay? Yeah. You should have some amount of hand-eye coordination to have to get through these fucking things. And that makes it even more hilarious to me when then I hear about people telling me oh my God, these new dungeons in Dawn Trail, they're so hard. It's bro, you're crazy. You're out of your fucking mind. Come on, man. What are we doing? It's I can't just mash one button and win. Come on.
I would say, so this topic, I think changed a lot with the announcement of that new game that's coming out. Can't remember its name now. The one that's basically a dungeon crawler, but you're basically
Fellowship?
Fellowship. That's the one, right? Because this is now a game that fundamentally took the idea of dungeons in an MMO and said, what if we, instead of being a jack of all trades, master of none, just focused on this one element and tried to make this one element the best possible element that it can be. So we're going to hard focus. We're not going to waste our time on questing. We're not going to waste our time on PvP. This is what we do. We do dungeons, and we want to make sure that we do it better than anyone else. And as soon as I saw this game, there was this thing that popped into my head that I thought, what if this game's dungeons truly is game-changing? Because the thing is, I know people like to believe that MMOs are actually played for the breadth and the width of their content, and people love all content in an MMO. But that is actually not true. If you look at MMO players, you will fundamentally find that the group is incredibly segmented around specific types of content. So, for example, you have a group in World of Warcraft that pretty much only do dungeons, and they don't give a shit about anything. All of the other things are basically just standing in their way from just doing Mythic Plus. And then you have people that just raid, and they love the fucking raiding. And then you have people that do this and people that do this, and everyone sort of does their own thing. And fundamentally, what the MMO space has been for the longest time is kind of trying to go, no, but also we have to design it in such a way that even if you just want to do dungeons, we also want you to try out all of these other things.
Yeah, we need to force people to do the other things.
Yeah, we need to force you to at least do some of the other things as well, because fuck you, right? And now you have games like Fellowship coming out saying, well, actually, if you just want to do dungeons, our game is actually perfect for you, right? What happens if there's another game that comes out that actually is just raiding? It's 20-man boss fights that you go into and you kill the boss with 20 of your friends. And it's just a giant raid, right? Every 3 months, there's a new raid with 12 bosses in it and shit tons of loot drop from the bosses, but no questing. Suddenly, you have all of these hardcore raiders going, wait, either I can do raids in WoW, but I also have to quest, I also have to do world quests, I also have to do all of this other shit, or I can just go do it in this other game, and I don't have to quest, I don't have to do world quests, while this other game is starting to look a lot more juicy now, right? Because fundamentally, I don't have to waste my fucking time with all of this bullshit. And I genuinely think that the fact that these games are coming out suggests that they think there's a market for it. And I want to be clear, neither me or Rurikon are saying that MMOs have stagnated and that MMOs have become stale. We're saying we think it may have.
No, I am saying that they've stagnated 100%. The two ones that we're talking about, 100% have. Mm-hmm. And I feel that a lot of them are trying to kind of like do the same thing that World of Warcraft has done and Final Fantasy XIV has done. One of the ones that I feel is more different, which is why I really want to play it more, is Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 is one of the ones that is very different from your experience in World of Warcraft because it's more horizontal progression than vertical progression. It's not about becoming more powerful. It's about getting different things for the different classes that the game has, which is, again, it's much more appealing to me, but it's just a time thing and an investment thing and whatnot. But I think that Guild Wars, I think that they're working on a new one, like Guild Wars 3 or whatever. It hasn't been officially announced, I don't think. But I think that one might actually bring a couple of new things if they keep up with what they've been doing with Guild Wars 2 and whatnot. But I don't know, man, because I look at War Within, and it's just a tough sell for me. And let me tell you why. The biggest thing that bothers me, because like I played Dragonflight when it came out, and it was okay. I was like, it's all right. I played Dragonflight. I think it's fun. I particularly enjoyed Dynamic Flying. Dynamic Flying's fucking awesome. Which they called Dragon Flying back then, but I think they're changing Dynamic Flight, and now everything can do it. But yeah, that was definitely the way forward for mounts. Well, did that, did a bit of Mythic Plus, did a bit of progression. And then I stopped playing. Mostly because the people that I was playing with on Mythic Plus were getting too fucking sweaty with it, despite the fact that they didn't really have the skills to even participate in much higher levels of Mythic Plus, but they were playing like they were at the fucking MDIs.
Dude, it's always the mid-level player that's the most fucking elitist, man.
I'm playing the game. I'm just fucking chilling. I'm learning the encounters as I'm going, and I take a break, and everybody's just fucking sweat lord, try hard, and going balls to the walls. And I was like, bro, listen, I don't make content for this game. I play this shit to relax, and you guys are in here expecting me to play this like I'm at the MDIs. I'm not at the MDIs, and you motherfuckers aren't even skilled enough to be at the MDIs. So, like, what the fuck are we doing here? Just unclench, right? But anyway, so, I stopped playing because of that, and then a couple of months after, I came back to Dragonflight, and this is what really bothered me. I wanted to follow the storyline of what happens throughout the different zones and all that stuff, which I already know. There was the cinematic with the power of friendship, and it was garbage and all that stuff. I know all about that. But I still wanted to experience each zone as it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And there's no way to do that in the fucking game.
Yeah.
There isn't.
But I think the reason there isn't.
I don't care.
The reason
I don't care about the reason. I wanted to do it like that, and I couldn't do it. And it's like, you can say, Rurikon, you can go to Wowhead and see what the order is. And it's like, why the fuck do I have to go to a third-party website just because I want to play the game in the order in which each zone was released? This is the most ridiculous thing you could possibly ever do. Like, you could tell me, like, oh, I'm trying to figure out where to find this very specific item. Yeah, I'll go outside and I'll look at a fucking website. It's like, I'm not trying to do some fucking rocket science. I'm trying to experience the content in the order it was released, and there's not a way to do that in the game. And people don't see this as a problem.
Wait, I'm not sure I'm following. Are you saying that you can't follow the quest line? Yeah. In the order of the game, or are you talking about the dungeons and the raids?
No, so like, for instance, right? You had all these zones, and then they added one zone. I don't know if that was the first zone that was added, which was like underground, and you go in there with a black dragonfly, and you do all
Zaralak Heaven, yeah?
That place. I don't know when that zone was added. Then they also added the Emerald Dream at another point, and somewhere in between there's another zone that was added as well. There's no in-game way for a returning player to know which one of those comes first.
Wait, but the main story should say...
It doesn't.
Can you skip it?
I can assure you it fucking doesn't. Because I was sent to the Emerald Dream.
Oh, okay. I get what
and so I'm seeing cinematics in the Emerald Dream, and then I'm going to the place of the Black Dragonflight, and I'm just like, wait. There was a character that I already seen get killed or was taken out or whatever the fuck, or some other event that already happened, and now this character's here. This makes no fucking sense. The way in which I'm experiencing this makes no fucking sense, and there's no in-game way to figure out how to experience this. Because here's the thing. I was enjoying experiencing the zones. Regardless of the fact that the story was not amazing. You're right, it's not. But the thing is, as usual, when it comes to World of Warcraft, the art team carries that game in its shoulders. And so just experiencing the art of World of Warcraft and just enjoying it and seeing like certain characters do certain things, it doesn't even have to be that much. I can just enjoy that. But it's like the simple fact that I couldn't even get the story to fucking make sense because it's experienced in this fucking haphazard way because everything is optimized for you to buy the $70 boost and skip everything. And it's ridiculous because there was good content there to experience. There was. Yeah. But everything in that game is made in a way that it's like, no, you listen, the moment we release this new zone, forget about everything else. Just go to the new zone. We don't care about the other content that we've done. That's discardable. It's gone. Nobody wants to do that now. Everybody goes to the new zone. And that is what is stagnating about World of Warcraft. They need to come up with a way that it makes sense for a new player to go through one of the old zones and for the game to actually fucking tell them which order they should be doing shit in.
Yeah, I think, but
see,
this is
that was something that I even said. It's like, I don't respect the current story of World of Warcraft because the World of Warcraft developers don't respect it themselves. They don't fucking care.
But this is exactly why I'm saying the reason this keeps happening is because we have this jack of all trades stagnated system where we want everyone to be able to experience the newest raid, the newest dungeons. We don't want people to be forced to do things that they don't necessarily want to do. On Final Fantasy side, you have this thing of, no, story comes first. Regardless of you might want to do the ultimates, you might want to do some dungeons, but go fuck yourself, story comes first. Yep. Right? We're going to stick to this. And when we say stagnated, this is basically what we're talking about, right? At what point do you accept that maybe there might be a different way of approaching it? And this is not in this stream where we're going to go into what the possible changes or differences, because I don't even know what the differences would be at this point. But I can tell you that it seems sometimes as if the developers are almost afraid of making a mistake. And so they just stick with what they know, stick with what the players have accepted up until now. And then we keep complaining and we keep hearing these stories about MMOs are dying. No one really cares about MMOs anymore. And I go, but I don't think that's true. Because every time a new MMO is announced, players are mega hyped for this game. The hype dies quickly after. Because every MMO that gets announced is basically just World of Warcraft with a different skin. Or Final Fantasy with a different skin. It's not trying to be anything other than World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy with a different skin. And you go, well, of course, at some point players might get a little bored. Because it's the same stuff over and over and over again, when what they really wanted was something that pushes the envelope a little forward. Something that tries to do something new. Now, yes, Guild Wars 2 tried their horizontal progression thing, which obviously works in Guild Wars 2, but I recently floated the idea and said, what if the Blizzard developers uncoupled leveling from dungeons and raids? So leveling is its own thing, and it doesn't give you levels, it's literally just the story. So you don't have to do the levels, you don't have to do the quests if you don't want to. If you just want to do raids, you just want to do dungeons, you can fucking ignore every quest and just go.
And you want to know why? Because that way the developers don't have to make you go on a fucking collect 10 pieces of poop quest just to pad the time. They can just actually make those fucking quests be meaningful, because we're no longer doing this questing thing to just kind of like force you to play the game for a certain amount of hours. We're doing this because you actually care about this questing experience. So we're actually going to give you the things that matter in the quest experience, like the more epic quest lines that you actually enjoy. And we're going to just remove all the poop shit. And that just becomes like a side quest. And if you want to go shovel your face in poop, you can go do that.
Yeah, that's exactly my point, right? If you were to decouple all of these different systems in the game, and you say dungeons is its own thing, raids is its own thing, PvP is its own thing, questing is its own thing, collections is its own thing, that is sort of wildly tied to everything else. So basically you tie the game together with collections. People that want to collect will do pretty much everything because they want to collect things from everything, right? So in that sense it is, but RP is its own thing. If you started doing this, what you open yourself up to then is you are now able to go from a jack of all trades, master of none, because you can't be a master of anything. Because fundamentally, if you were to say, I'm going to master questing, then all of those players that couldn't give two fucks about the quests and the story are now forced to play through 40 hours of questing just so that they can get to the dungeons and the raids of the game, right? And they didn't want to do 10 hours of it in the first place. But if you uncouple those, you could absolutely say, right, we're going to make the best damn questing experience you can imagine. Why can we do this? Because, well, It's only going to be the people that care about the story that's going to play the quests and going to play the story. We're going to do the best possible experience for dungeons. Why? Because the people who are only there for the story and couldn't give two fucks about partnering up with 4 other people, they're not going to be in this. So we can make the dungeons as hard and as challenging as we want, because fundamentally the only people that are going to do the dungeons are the people that want it to be as hard and challenging as possible, right? And you can do the exact same thing with raids and the exact same thing with PvP without sort of, being forced to downscale certain things, because everyone has to be able to do this thing. And I feel like it's a big step, right? It is. It's a massive step. And it is one of those dangerous steps, because you might do it and it fails completely. What the hell do you do then? But I also can't help but think maybe that is the future of MMOs. Maybe at some point there's going to be an MMO that comes out that offers this exactly, right? Play whatever you want to play and don't worry about anything else, because we're not forcing you to do anything else. And that might be the MMO that kills all of the current MMOs.
You've been saying in your streams that, and because I haven't been keeping up with the War Within, but you've been saying in your streams that like the War Within's quest line is actually going to be shorter. Because
Blizzard is definitely making moves there, yeah.
Because the side quests and whatnot, those are going to be completely separate from the main quest line and zone progression and all of that stuff. And that sounds interesting. And I should also mention that I pretty much wrote off the War Within, mostly because of the experience that I had with what I told you about in Dragonflight, where fucking, all of these zones are just like mixed together and I can't experience anything. There's just bullshit on top of bullshit. It's fucking stupid, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of just wrote War Within off because of that, and also because of the fact that Blizzard stole my fucking Diablo 4 season token. I'm never going to let that go. Fuck you, Blizzard. You fucking robbed me. It was my money. You took it. You admitted it was your fault, and you never gave people their tokens back. But anyway, they've admitted it, dude, 100%. But, I've actually... Yesterday, I started questioning if I do want to play it, because have you ever heard about The Instance?
No.
How can you play World of Warcraft and not know about The Instance? What the fuck? This is some crazy shit. Anyway, so The Instance is actually a podcast. I should say was a podcast by a guy called Scott Johnson. Scott Johnson was literally the first podcast I've ever heard. It was The Instance. And I would listen to this thing all the fucking time. Every time there was a new episode, I would listen to it. He would just talk about World of Warcraft. He's kind of like your more casual player. He doesn't really raid that much, but he goes in, he does the content, and he talks about the state of the game and all of this stuff. And I absolutely loved his show. But eventually, when Blizzard started going under all of that scrutiny and all of that stuff and all of the happenings around Blizzard, he eventually got too sick of dealing with all the bullshit, and he canceled the show because the show was fundamentally all about World of Warcraft. Yesterday, I see a YouTube video where he's saying that he's bringing The Instance back. He's calling it Instance 2.0, and apparently it was actually at Irvine, California. And I was like, bro... The Instance is coming back? Like, oh no, man. I got fucking hyped is all I'm saying. I got a little bit hyped for World of Warcraft when the original first ever podcast I ever listened to announced that it's making a comeback. I was like, bro, I don't know, man. This is fucking rough.
I will say, in the conversation of MMO stagnating, Blizzard is definitely trying something very new with the War Within. So you are correct, absolutely, in this instance. Blizzard have announced that this will be the shortest MSQ that they've ever made, because basically the main storyline will only cover the headlines. It's only going to give you the broad strokes so that you at least know, why am I kicking this guy in the nuts in the dungeon, right? That's it. It's not going to go into too much detail. Instead, what they're doing is they're taking a lot of previously, the main storyline would sort of merge the main story with the zone story. So you would have main story quest lines, but it has far more to do with the zone than what it necessarily has to do with the main throughput story. All of that is now being moved to side quests. And Blizzard have said you're going to have to do very few side quests in order to hit max level. So they basically just want you to spend time doing the MSQ, and then maybe, let's say, 10 side quests and you're done. You've leveled, congratulations, off you go. And then, of course, Blizzard is also toying with the idea of story raids.
Yeah.
The ability for players to go in and kill the final boss of a raid in a story mode where they get to experience the finality of the story that way. Which
is
I
that
think
happening
is
in War Within?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
War.
a good idea, because it fucking sucks when it's like, oh, I don't really want to raid, but it's like, oh, but the story's in the raid. It's like, oh, okay, well, fuck.
Yeah. So the story raids is going to be a thing. You have dungeons that you can already do with NPCs, or with AI, so you literally can single player your way through the game.
I'll tell you what, Blizzard is actually caught. I'm not telling people go and play War Within or anything like that. I'm just saying that Blizzard is actually caught like a stroke of luck here, because of the fact that the story of Dawn Trail has not been received that well.
Super well. Yeah.
So it's like they've gotten a bit of a lucky streak with that, because they're coming up very close to the release of, well, not very close, a couple of months after the release of Dawn Trail. But at the same time, Dawn Trail is not putting its best foot forward, and if they really are revamping the whole way in which they tell the story of World of Warcraft, they have a real chance here. But it's still fucking, oh man, I can't stand the fact that all their fucking bullshittery that they do with their monetization, dude. Fucking
the thing is, I would say right now is probably the best time to come back to World of Warcraft. So I was just watching WoWcast 2 nights ago with my stream, and one of the main conversations along those lines is effectively this, right? They're trying a bunch of new things in the War Within. Delves coming in, which is just insane. And for the first time ever, it is very clear that the developers who are making the game are actually playing the game. So they've made a number of... Yeah, but they've made a number of changes to the map. So one of the key changes to the map now is when you have like a quest hub. So there's like a town, you know, the symbol for a town on the map, right? If you hover over that symbol, there's a pop-up that tells you the name of the town, right? And then gives you all of the available quests that is in that town. Just listed down below it. Like all of the available quests, as well as if these are side quests or if these are main quests. And if you click on the town, so you're not just hovering, you're clicking on it, it will actually bring up the town map where you can see where all these quests are located. The maps are also a lot more clear in the information that it gives through. They've updated a bunch of icons with the UX and so on and so forth. So fundamentally, I think, and again, I bring this up because as we spoke earlier in the podcast, there are things that point to care and detail. How much care are you taking with your game, and how much attention are you paying to the small details of the game? Because if you can get the small details right, it suggests to me that you're automatically going to get the big things right as well. And it appears as if in this one, they're really dotting their I's and crossing their T's. They are trying to make sure that every little thing is being taken care of. Now, of course, we're still a long way away from a full-blown open experience in World of Warcraft, but they seemingly have made some moves to try and get there with some of the quest changes and the dungeons and all the rest of it.
Kill the wild token. So, kill it. Murder it.
The wild token is probably never going to die, but as a final topic, just very quickly, because we're already well over time here, you mentioned something about Hi-Fi Rush being saved or some shit. What happened there?
So this is actually really good news for a change. So you've heard about Hi-Fi Rush, right? Really breakout hit. It was a game that was shadow dropped from the Tango Gameworks studios. This was an awesome game, and it was a very unique game, and it was a game that was not necessarily something that was going to be super successful. So a lot of people were concerned about, like, hey, considering this is a day one Game Pass game, this is like all of these things. Doesn't seem like this is going to make you guys a ton of money. And everybody at Microsoft was saying, no, actually, we fucking loved it. It was amazing. We loved it, blah, blah, blah. And then a couple of months ago, they're like, actually, fuck all these people. We're shutting down their studio. Fuck them. Yep. It's over. We don't care. However, it seems that, and this is the weirdest part, because Microsoft said they shut down the studio, which is why people were like, why didn't you just let the studio go? Why'd you have to shut them down, right? But it turns out that somehow another publisher called Krafton, who are the same people that publish PUBG, basically got all of them from Tango Gameworks, and supposedly they're working on getting the Hi-Fi Rush IP as well. So they're even saying the deal made here is between Xbox and Krafton. So Krafton is working directly with Xbox. Publisher of PUBG, of all places, the plan is to keep the team in smooth transition, and that is meant to keep the Hi-Fi Rush IP alive and work on future projects in that series. This will not change the availability of Hi-Fi Rush on other platforms, but Xbox and its expansion to PlayStation. It's just such a strange thing, because Microsoft's like, yeah, we're going to shut them down. But then these guys showed up and like, actually, we'll buy them. And it's like, good for them, because Hi-Fi Rush is a really cool project. Tango Gameworks are some very talented people. And the fact that Microsoft just unceremoniously had shut them down was a massive blow to the industry. So it's a good thing that they were actually picked up by another publisher, and hopefully things work out for them.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to them. I never played Hi-Fi Rush. It's looked really good. A little stupid to me.
Why?
It just looked stupid. It didn't look like my type of game.
Bro, it's phenomenal. Don't you have Game Pass? Go play it, dude. It's really fun.
I'll go check it out. I'll definitely go check it out. But yeah, I mean, it's nice that we're ending on a bit of a high note, considering all the bad shit that's happening.
Yeah, dude.
Please remember, there is no episode next week because Rurikon is in Germany studying the Germans, and probably gonna, I don't know, hang out with the Germans. If he comes back, he's gonna have a German accent and everything.
No.
So just flying the German flag, you know.
No.
Guten Tag.
They don't even have good water over there. You know that their bottled water tastes terrible?
Really?
I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, but if you're from Cologne, let me tell you, brother, your bottled water,
bro, you
tastes like ass. Okay?
You do realize that you're basically poking the dragon. Our editor is German. She can make you look stupid at the
She can do whatever the hell she wants. I'm just saying. I've been to Cologne, and let me tell you, there's a reason why sparkling water is so popular over there. It's because the bubbles mask the fucking taste of the water, bro. That's why. Is that I'm sorry, right. Dude, every single time I've drank water in there, I was like, bro, what is this? Dude, what are you guys doing? Like, please, come on. Because, like, look, in Portugal, we have really good bottled water, like really, really good. And it's like, bro, every time I go to Cologne, I know it's suffer time. I know I'm probably going to be drinking mostly sparkling water, and it's not by choice.
Well, all right, you know, saying if you see Rurikon at Gamescom, give him some good water, please. That's basically what he's saying. But no.
Listen, if anyone from our audience is going to Gamescom, I'm going to be wearing this hat while I'm out there. Okay, so feel free to come by and say hi. All right.
There you go. But okay, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, please go up to Rurikon, say hello to him. It's always really fun to meet the viewers and so on and so forth. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Mythic Banter. It is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and right here on YouTube. As always, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, smash the bell because it helps. It really does. Ladies and gentlemen, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And we will see all of you in the next one. Peace.